Good evening and welcome to Madison, Wisconsin for the 9th stop of the NexGen Tour. Tonight, the bus takes on Madison Club here on a sweltery evening in Madison. My name is Mario O'Brien. I'm joined by Jason Joyce in the booth, and he is a follower of the Madison Radicals, the team out of the AUDL. So this Madison team haven't spent a lot of time together as Madison Club, but have been doing well as the Radicals.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of Radicals on this team, including three of the primary handlers we're going to see tonight. Tom Animal Annan won two national championships as a UW Hodag. Andrew Brown, who's wearing the red hat there, also a national champion with the Hodags. And Jaden Scullion, the I don't want to call him bald, but he's one of the older guys on the team at 38. And he's a guy you're going to see around Madison playing in a lot of pickup games and maybe even a little goaltimate.
So the Madison Club team led by those three guys offensively, certainly an experienced group, and they'll be heading up this O-line as NexGen waits to pull. Taking a look at our NexGen D-line, there you see from left to right, you're looking at Elliot Erickson, Aaron Neal, Mitch Sion, Jay Clark, Dylan Freechild, Trent Dillon, and on your far left, that's Air Tim Morrissey. Freechild rips one, and Madison Club sets up in a horizontal stack. Annan lets this one drift out of bounds.
Couple of deep cutters to watch here on this O-line for Madison. Dave Wiseman wearing the hat there, another former Hodag, and Mike Swain, who's from UW Whitewater, relatively new to Ultimate, but he's very athletic.
This is Wiseman taking off deep early. Nothing available for Annan. Now Wiseman in the middle. Wiseman's going to put this one up deep for Swain. Jay Clark giving chase, but Swain brings it down for an easy one. Madison on the scoreboard first. It was Wiseman and Swain.
Yeah, I think they'd be happy with doing that all night. I'm not sure NexGen's going to give up many points that easily tonight, but that looked pretty smooth.
And that's a really tough throw, actually, by Wiseman. It's quite windy out on the field. Haven't been able to notice it yet. Haven't taken a look at any flags or anything, but wind will be blowing from left to right across your screen. A lot of players got out here early, try to warm up those throws, and that one, Wiseman just put up into the air, showed that front lip, put that front lip up and just let the wind from behind it sort of push it down gracefully, and Swain settled nicely underneath. So 1-0 Madison. The bus O-line of Sion, Jannon, Driscoll, Montague. Wait for it. You can see that short pull definitely affected by the wind. This is Kearns centering to Montague. Bus in a side stack. This is Mitch Sion. Flips one over the top to Allison Hall. Driscoll on the sideline. Forehand force from Madison. Kearns. Big inside-out swing to Mickle, and this one bounces over the top. So Madison will have their first opportunity for a break, and they're looking to strike early. Valdivia in the area. That's Rodrigo Valdivia. Rodrigo and Hector both play on this Madison team.
A lot of youth on the O-line or on the D-line right now for Madison. They're trying out some of their young guns during this game and looking to turn it quick, for better or worse, as we saw there.
Whether it's a club team or a college team, these Madison teams loves to pick up that disc on the turn and fire deep, go for the jugular early. This is Jannon with the disc. Jannon floats over the top to Montague. No one available. High stall count. Montague's got to rip one to the far corner. This one drifting And out of bounds, another turnover for the NexGen O-line. Nice pressure defense there by Madison, not allowing any free, easy resets.
We'll see now if these guys can be patient. They're going to have to be patient here, working into the wind.
This will be Dayu Liu picking up the disc. Vert stack from the Madison Club team. This is Valdivia, marked by Janin. Pushed back into their own end zone. Nothing available. And a miscue in the backfield is going to give Montague the disc on his goal line. Montague, quick swing to Mickle. Mickle looking at a vert stack. A break cut from Camden Allison Hall, and a bit of a mistake on the mark gives Mickle an easy one. But it took 3 possessions for the NexGen O-line to punch it in 1-1.
Yeah, the home team didn't really make it easy for him that time. And again, I think they're sort of hoping for a little more of that all night long.
So NexGen's on the board. We've really seen the bus evolve over the last few games. Early on in the tour, they were a bit more handler dominated, lots of throwing and going in the backfield. And the team talked about it after electing 3 captains. Those captains are Montague, Mickle, and Janin. They talked about working on that chemistry between the downfield cutters and the handlers. They talked about cutters not really knowing when to cut because there was so much action going on in the backfield. They ironed that kink out, and since then, much more on the same page. The offense has looked much cleaner and not so dominated by just a few players. So now Madison's offense takes over. This is Camp. Camp moving it upfield, and there again we see that throw looping over the top, and this one's a turnover. Danny Stulagros, a little too much air under it.
Yeah, that was intended for Bill Everhart, who's one of the younger guys on this Madison team. I'm told one to watch this year, so I don't know who that was on more.
This is Aaron Neal for the bus. Free child resets. Hahn finds room underneath. Got Jay Clark isolated deep, but Freechild's going to come in and bail one out. Nice break backhand to Trent Dillon. Trent Dillon, lots of space to work. Dillon throwing and going with Freechild. Dillon's going to fire one deep. He's got a man. This is Aaron Hahn's going to play position and get vertical to steal one away from the Madison defense.
That was impressive. He's climbed the ladder there for sure.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at Aaron Hahn with 2 swirling Madison defenders trying to play position, and sometimes athleticism just beats positioning. In this case, Hahn pulls down the bus's first break of the game.
He's a big body, and I think that there's definitely some fans here who were around for the USAU College Nationals. They'll remember that ponytail.
Yeah, and they'll remember that big body too as well. He's a tough matchup. Hahn getting aggressive here in the first half. Saw him very involved there on that offensive look from the NexGen D-line. Actually caught a couple unders, and that opened up that space deep. It's good to see Hahn getting involved early. So 2-1 NexGen. Jimmy Mickle. Outside in, blade backhand. This is Annan. Up to Andrew Brown. Brown back in Madison after spending a few years in Vancouver with Furious George. As Madison works upfield nicely. And this one's going to go up to Swain. Beautiful knifing forehand is completed in the back of the end zone, and Swain brings down the second goal for himself and the second goal for Madison Club.
He's showing some speed out there, getting loose on the back end a little bit, and that was fun to watch there. Nate Thibodeau had a big throw there in the middle, and he's another one of sort of the old guard who's been around Madison for a long, long time.
So Swain brings down his second goal of the game, and Club holds. We'll get a look again at this NexGen O-line. Freechild out there. Freechild's been splitting time on the tour between the O-line and the D-line. That's Simon Montague, one of the captains of this team, talking to Mickle, Janin, Hahn, and that's Eli Kearns right of your screen. Jake Smart with the pull.
Mario, is it just me, or does it seem like Simon Montague's been playing at Carleton for about 20 years at this point?
You know, it feels like that with good players. I'll say Jacob Janin is one of those players, too. Just felt like he was in college forever because he's playing at such a high level for such a long time. And here we see Janin putting it up to a Callahan nominee and captain of NexGen, Jimmy Mickle. Nice alley-oop to Allison Hall on the spike there. And this is just a beautiful throw by Janin. Mickle holds position well and jogs in for the goal. Mickle did a really nice job early in the point there, early in the throw against Coolidge, who's a tenacious defender for Madison Club, to really seal him out and not give him an angle at the block. You mentioned Montague picked up a national championship with Carleton a couple years back from Seattle. Will be playing and working in Minneapolis for this summer at least. He'll be playing with Sub-Zero, which is actually our next stop on the tour tomorrow night.
Yeah, that's interesting. Sub-Zero benefited for a lot of years by Madison not having a strong club team. And Hector Valdivia, who just put that one up there, convinced a lot of his homies to come back and play for this club team.
So the huck by Valdivia is going to give Madison Club their third goal of the game, and the deep game has really looked strong so far for Club.
Yeah, that was definitely pretty, connecting downfield here on the run, and then they just kind of tic-tac-toe right into the end zone. And there's Everhart there throwing that goal. Again, the youngster. Nobody's seen much of him, so we'll learn a lot tonight.
Slightly different look to that O-line that time. Saw Valdivia was the center handler that time.
He said they're playing pods tonight. I don't know if that's a technical term or not, but they've only practiced together once. They're still trying to figure things out, and they're going to be experimenting from what I understand.
Yeah, we saw that against Ring as well. It's early season for this club team. They haven't figured out their exact O-lines and D-lines yet, so they're putting together groups of players who either they think are going to work well together, or they're balancing them out so that any line can step on the field and not be at too much of a deficit and still be a threat with the disc in their hand, and that goes for groups of handlers and cutters. Here we take a look at our first junk look from Madison. That junk look has now broken down into man-to-man offense. And Hahn with the disc. He's going to reset to Montague. Back to Hahn. Kearns. So far, mostly force forehand for both teams. Now Montague finds Neal underneath. Neal stepping in and throwing a beautiful inside-out forehand to Camden Allison Hall. Aaron Neal, one of the guys who was out there earliest working on those upwind throws. And the engagement kiss between Allison Hall and Neal there. Beautiful throw here by the New Zealand native, Aaron Neal.
That one is tough to defend. I mean, when you can thread the needle like that, not too many defenders are going to be able to block out.
So the bus is having fun here. And that's actually something they were very intentional about. Not this game. I'm sure they wanted to keep their role going from last game. But when we went into Chicago, they said early in the game against GOAT, which is about a week ago now, they felt like they didn't come out with energy. And as a team who doesn't have a coach, is playing an away game, isn't going to have the fans on their side, sometimes you have to internally create that energy. And the way the bus loves to do it is by having fun with their spikes. Gets everyone smiling. It gets everyone on the same page. And can sometimes just provide that little boost of energy to go out and play the next point, go and get a block, or just maintain composure. But the bus looks relaxed tonight, as we saw between Neil and Allison Hall. And it also goes to show that these guys are becoming really great friends here on the tour. I don't know if that's the type of spike you're going to see between those two guys on the first night of the tour.
Yeah, it's a totally unique experience, the barnstorming kind of tour. And I would imagine that every game they get under their belts, they're just going to be better and better and develop that chemistry as they go along. They'll be world beaters at the end of this tour, and then they'll all go back to their cities, right? Oh.
So Tom Animal Annan flicks a forehand upwind, and that was Trent Dillon coming and getting that one. And here,
and Annan giving as good as he gets there.
And I think that the observer is going to get involved here. Dillon, free child, casually going to tap this one back in and say, yes, it was in fact a turn. So free child. Gives it back to Madison Club. This is Brown, back to Annan. Brown again. Annan. Three-handler set in the end zone from Madison Club, and now Annan's going to have to fire one to the back of the end zone, and a coverage sack there for the bus. Great defense on an individual level, everybody locking up, giving the thrower no options.
That might be sort of symptomatic here of Madison not playing very much yet together this year. There weren't a lot of cuts going on the back end there, and there wasn't a lot of space to throw the disc.
Jake Clark here. Scoobers to Driscoll. Driscoll, wide open swing to Sion. Sion's going to rip one deep. He's got Clark. No one's going to catch Clark this time, but Clark can't catch up to this one as that one from Sion floats just out of the reach of Jay Clark.
That was a nice put. That's just the wind blew that one maybe a little bit. We're getting unpredictable wind tonight.
So the bus will force Madison Club to go to the full 70 as they start out in the horizontal stack. This is Brown, slices one upfield. Ooh. And we had a call on the mark as this one heads out of bounds. That was Morrissey providing pressure. Nice inside-out throw by Brown, and Morrissey got his hand on the throw there as he finds Animal underneath. Everhart. Back to Brown. Brown swings to Camp. Camp marked by Jake Clark. Now back to Andrew Brown. So pretty stagnant downfield right now from Madison Club as Brown breaks to Annan. Nice tight defense downfield from the bus. This is Brown finding Camp. Camp again looking to reset as Brown relieves the pressure. Still nothing going on downfield, and Brown again breaks the mark. Camp Freechild locking up Annan in the backfield as Brown catches another one. Back to Camp. 15 yards out from the end zone. Camp turns to the dump. Freechild locks up again, and Dylan Freechild wins this battle and calls a timeout. That's the best case scenario for a dump defender, is force that miscommunication between the thrower and the cutter. Great defense by Freechild. So 4-3, the bus up a break, and we'll be back after a commercial. And welcome back to Madison as the bus took their first time out of the first half. This will be Dylan Freechild picking up, looking at a spread downfield. Got Driscoll in the middle of the field there, number 21. This is going to be a flood and a break throw to Driscoll to start things. Now back to Freechild. Freechild finds Clark underneath. Back to Driscoll, uncharacteristically in the backfield that time. Dylan. And stagnant downfield from the bus as Scion finds his way open. Morrissey now. And Morrissey's going to float one and lose 20 yards back to Will Driscoll. Deep vert stack for the bus as Driscoll breaks inside out to Freechild. Now back to Driscoll. Scion on the open side. Couple open receivers, and Driscoll's going to hold his feet in bounds, but can't hang on to the disc.
A lot of things to concentrate on there. Try to get his feet down and hold on to it.
We're going to see this nice flip forehand from Scion. And Driscoll had possession, had the feet down, but the ground caused him to drop it as Madison Club gives this one right back. And this is a tough spot to defend Dylan Freechild right on the end zone. And Jay Clark stomps down a goal for the bus as they get another one. 5-3 now for NexGen.
That was tough. Pat Donovan there should have come up with that. He's a big body, and he's expected to catch those for sure. That crew had to work pretty hard on that upwinder, and then played some tough D downwind, but too much to handle.
So the bus D-line comes back out on the field as we see Montague giving direction. This NexGen team has been a bit more defensive-minded here this year, not so much of the big ball offense, more of a focus on defensive matchups and small ball on offense. Yeah. But they've really found a nice balance here as we worked our way into the second half of the tour. Mickle's going to pull this one straight out of bounds, and you can see how difficult it is to control that disc here in the wind. I think that one might have slipped out of Mickle's hands, but he's usually able to control any conditions and drop one in bounds.
We have both Valdivias on the field right now for Madison.
So that was Hector Valdivia breaking the mark to start, marked by Hahn. Now Coolidge, normally a defensive player, at least he was for the Hodags, but now he finds himself on an O-line. Looking at downfield to Stulegross. Stulegross to Coolidge, in bounds but not in the end zone. Tough spot to score from. He's going to be looking to get that one off. Nice work to throw the around to Valdivia, and now tons of room. So a pick in the stack is going to give Stulegross a ton of space to work with. Valdivia will be at his dump, but a tons of break space for that lefty, and that's an easy throw for a goal, especially that lefty around is a very easy throw. So nice job by the Madison offense. No risky passes, and they find themselves in the end zone.
That was great. Rodrigo Valdivia getting loose on the back end. They sort of refer to him as Gigo around town, and he's still got some wheels.
Rodrigo was around for the first major run that the Hodags put together in the early to mid 2005s. Of course, Hector was involved for the very first championship that the Hodags had in the early 2000s, and that was really the beginning of what has sort of been the emergence of the Hodag program over the last 10 years.
Absolutely. There's a culture, a big Frisbee culture here in Madison. I mean, there's a summer league with literally thousands of players. Most of the high school teams have very competitive programs. I mean, right here on the line, you've got Dayu. He's from Madison Memorial, which always has a tough team. And, if you want to play Frisbee around Madison, in the summertime, you can pretty much play 7 days a week between summer league and pickups.
So the bus takes this O point up 5-4. This is Hahn. Bit of a miscommunication with Eli Kearns, and Kearns having a discussion with Hart.
Hart, the Callahan nominee from Wisconsin this past season.
So we saw the throw go right out of bounds. Kearns is saying he might have had a play on that disc, I think, had there not been a foul. Might have been bumped from the back. So this one's going to go back to Hahn. Hahn marked by Kevin Brown, and Hahn's going to float this one over the top.
There's David Wiseman.
So Madison will have a chance at a break here. Forehand force from the bus. Nice break from Hart.
That's Andrew Meshnick there, another Hodag.
So Aaron Neal is now going to rip this one deep. This is a beautiful throw by Aaron Neal. Aaron Neal's been known as a defensive force for this squad, but tonight, two beautiful throws. And Aaron Neal all over the stats here this evening.
That was pretty. I don't know if Meshnick was expecting an undercut there or not, but he really got beat on the backside there.
Really got beat by the throw.
Yeah.
I think he wasn't in bad position. Just a really beautiful throw, drifting over the defenders and settling in the end zone at the right moment. Neal's really been one of the most consistent players for the bus this tour. Always seems to find his hands on the disc defensively. Has been very solid with the disc in his hands as well. Jay Clark waits to pull. Clark from Chain Lightning rips one deep. So it'll be Annan settling under it, centering to Brown. Horizontal stack downfield. Everhart now working back to the middle of the field. Scullion lofts a forehand over the top. Jacob Jannon there to make sure it drifts over Annan's head. And Jannon will pick up for the bus, and they'll get another shot at a break. That's, again, a really tough throw in this wind. Jannon resets to Clark. Vert stack from the bus. Elliot Erickson trying to work his way off the back of the stack. Nice break throw to Trent Dillon. Stack looks a little deep here for the bus, especially going upwind. All the Madison defenders know that bomb is going to be tough. They look to be sitting underneath, but Driscoll finds room on the far sideline. And now Jannon. Back to Driscoll. Jay Clark beats his man up line. Great patience here from the bus. Camden Allison Hall, middle of the field. Finds Erickson.
NexGen is really fitting the disc into some tight spaces, just as I jinxed them on that turn.
So Brown's going to float this one, and this is a beautiful throw by the veteran, Andrew Brown. And so lots of hard, disciplined work, but any team is going to have a problem throwing 30 passes for a goal upwind as Brown capitalizes on the unforced error by NexGen.
That's a crowd favorite situation there for this home team with Scullion catching the goal there. He doesn't catch a lot of goals, but all of his pals in the stands really like it when he does.
So Madison in this first half has not hesitated to put up those deep shots, whether upwind or downwind. It's the type of the game where you're going to see NexGen maybe have a much higher throwing percentage, but they're also attempting a lot more throws. Madison not hesitating to play that position game and take some chances on those big ones. NexGen, on the other hand, looking to be a bit more opportunistic, as they were on one of their only upwind shots, and that was the one to Hahn earlier. So a big clear out. All three cutters going deep, and it was Mickle that came back underneath to gain huge yards for the bus. Now Freechild flips over the top to his Oregon teammate Aaron Hahn. Mickle beats his man up line. Squares up to his mark and flips to the end zone. This will be an easy one for Hahn as Clay Schleitzky gets beat up the line, and Hahn gets his second goal of the game. Mickle around the disc, creating lots of space for the bus.
That was a pretty textbook point there. They didn't look to take anything big, and those undercuts were really wide open, especially right there in the middle of the field.
So Jimmy Mickle, nominated for Callahan this year, stands next to number 10, Dylan Freechild, the Callahan winner this year. And you might think that there would be a bit of animosity or some weird tension between these guys because of that, but absolutely not true. Dylan, Freechild, and Mickle go way back. They're great friends. It's their third year together playing on the tour. I'm sure either one of them would have been happy for the other, no matter who would have won. As Mickle rips this one deep, Brown fumbles the pull a little bit and finds Scullion underneath. Now Thibodeau. Thibodeau looks off Annan. Swain. Spread offense downfield from Madison. And Swain turns one over, looking to work with Scullion. And Mickle picks it up immediately and finds Montague on the far side. So Mickle's gonna try to fit one in to traffic, and Annan comes up with it this time. Intended receiver was Freechild. Morrissey goes big on a bid, but can't get there, and now back to Brown. And Brown's gonna rip a forehand. Jay Clark, it floats over his head, and that will be another goal from Brown to Thibodeau. So Andrew Brown connects with his younger brother, Kevin Brown, for a goal, and another beautiful throw by Andrew Brown gives Madison a break.
Yeah, that was pretty. They needed that one for sure, especially that line. A lot of experience on that line, and they don't want to play too many defensive points.
Excuse me, that was not a break. That was an O point here for Madison. And I think Andrew Brown could be someone who could put Madison Club into that next level that they've really been trying to get to. I know they made quarters a couple years ago. Last year, ended up with a 9th place finish, and they're really just trying to crack into that upper tier of club teams, and Brown certainly has the experience that could lead them into that level of competition.
I talked to Hector Valdivia a little bit before the game and just had him explain to me a little bit about what their goals are for the season. And he said this is a team, their goal is realistic. They want to make quarters at nationals. They're going to play some of the big tournaments here starting up. They're starting in Terminus. And, and then at that point, it's whatever happens. Like I said before, they do compete with some of the other teams in the region for some of the top players. But Madison's a fun place to live, especially when you're like 25 years old. So if they start making a name for themselves, people might either stick around town or move back to Madison, and they could generate some momentum with a nice nationals run.
That's definitely true, and they're starting to have enough veterans who are top players stick around. Really good to have a guy like Dayu Liu, Colin Camp, Weissman, all those guys sticking around underneath the leadership of a guy like Valdivia, who is also their college coach. And a lot of times that's what a club team that has success has, is they have continuity. They're able to instill that institutional knowledge that can stick around. And no matter what year you play for this team, you're probably still going to get the same vocabulary, the same type of playbook, the same sort of mentality. And that makes it easier to find success in the long term.
Yeah, it's definitely a culture. Commitment at the club level is rough when you've got careers competing for your attention.
So horizontal stack here from the bus. This is Jannon with the disc. He's going to flip over the top to Scion. Scion's got a streaking Allison Hall. Nice floaty throw. Routine goal here from the bus. But not a routine spike there from the vicious Aaron Hahn. Takes down Allison Hall. As the bus takes half, Scion finds Camden Allison Hall. So an early break from the bus and mostly trading. We'll see if Madison can punch their way back into it in the second half.
A lot of timing and trust on that score there. Guys showing up open right where they need to be.
And welcome back to Breeze Stevens Field here in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm Mario O'Brien here with Jason Joyce. And Madison Club on their home turf goes in, down a couple breaks in the second half. What's it going to take for these guys to jump back and try to pull this one out?
Well, they were telling me before the game their sort of philosophy tonight is to play aggressive defense and pick up the disc quick on the turn and be aggressive. And we just really haven't seen much from that D-line. On the rare occasion that they're getting turns tonight, they're not doing much with the disc. So I'm sure that's what they talked about a lot. And you can see some veterans now lining up on the D-line here. You've got Tom Animal Annan out there. Rodrigo Valdivia is going to pull it. Jaden Scullion's on the line. So they're gonna try to value the disc, as they say here in the second half, a little on defense.
So the bus in a horizontal stack, working through Montague. That was Coolidge poaching into the lane, but Freechild comes in underneath. Freechild break throw to Jannon, marked by Animal. Jannon flip backhand over the top to Morrissey. The bus now, this is usually where they start to trail into their end zone offense. Vertical stack, still horizontal here as Montague resets from Jannon. And now they go into their vert set. Morrissey. Back to Montague. Mickle, Freechild, nice dump swing to gain some yards and release the pressure. Freechild looking downfield. Touch throw to Allison Hall. Allison Hall with a wide open Tim Morrissey. And Air Tim fakes us out and scores a goal. That's 9-6 for the bus. And that's just disheartening as a defender, especially on the first point. You come out hungry, and they don't even give you a shot at the disc.
And that is, that's all Freechild. You've seen this team play, obviously, a lot more than I have. But, when he decides to cut, that's sort of when it's on, it seems like. And, then it's just a matter of time before that disc is in the end zone.
And that's an interesting point about Freechild. So dangerous with the disc, but a lot of times in Ultimate we talk about the superpower of a player, the thing that they can do better than anyone else on the field. And when I think about Dylan, he certainly has a very complete game, but when I think about the one thing that he can do that no one else can do, that's get open on anyone. And with this next-gen team, he's taken more of a handler role, but when the bus really needs someone to get open, he is as good as anyone. So Valdivia is going to take this one and rip deep immediately, challenging Hahn in the air. And Aaron Hahn is going to win this battle. Hahn undefeated in the air so far tonight.
That's Pat Schreiwise, who Valdivia was looking for deep there. Schreiwise is an interesting story. Played his college ultimate at Kansas State, in town, literally studying nuclear engineering at the UW. Might be the smartest guy on the field right now. I don't know.
So now the bus has their opportunity for a break. And Jay Clark pumps Aaron Hahn into space. And now Neal comes and get it. Neal marked by Valdivia. And Hahn beats his man. Hahn with a wide open Will Driscoll. So Aaron Hahn getting involved often as the bus gets their first break of the second half to make it 10-6. Great timing on the cut by Driscoll from Hahn.
Yeah, Hahn really was everywhere on that point. I mean, he got the D and, sort of worked it upfield there. That's impressive. And again, you can see some heads hanging on that Madison team. They're maybe not used to seeing a guy like that this early in the season, and but you got to give it up to him. You got to give him credit for making some great plays there.
A lot of Aaron's teammates have been encouraging him to get a bit more aggressive here as the tour has worn on. Hahn, just 20 years old, and a rookie here on the bus. Really just wanted to come in and feel things out early in the tour, and now, as everyone's more comfortable with each other, it's like Hahn's becoming more comfortable getting aggressive, and his teammates have to be okay with it when he's making plays in the air and throwing goals on the other end. So it'll be Brown with an isolated cutter that gets looked off. High stall count, Freechild back there again, pressuring Annan. Now Annan's going to go over the top. Nice blade hammer to space. Now Swain underneath. And Swain's going to throw into a poach. That's Swain's second turnover of the evening. And now the bus is going the other way. Jannon looked like he was winding up a huck. Instead, it's going to throw that break backhand again to Morrissey. And now Morrissey's going to rip one deep. Freechild has steps. And Tim Morrissey drops a dime on Madison as Freechild runs all the way.
He's heading east.
Freechild not happy with that disc, doesn't ever want to see it again. And Allison Hall is there to meet him again. So Dylan Freechild receives the perfect pass from Morrissey and immediately gets rid of that one. Don't know how about Kevin Minderhout's going to feel about that loss of a disc, and we actually see Minderhout now going to retrieve that one from over the fence.
That's deep. You know, this is a historic facility that we're playing in here at Breeze Stevens. Used to be a baseball field way back in the day, so that was deep left field. He took that one out.
And there we saw a look at the Madison fan base coming out. A lot of those team members from the women's team Heist. And there we see Minderhout. Looks like the next gen players wanted him to throw it back. So he did. These crystal clear pictures are brought to you by Elemental Technologies. Been a great sponsor for us the past few years out of Portland, Oregon. Elemental Technologies. And this will be Aaron Neal getting an opportunity at a pull as the bus is trying to pull away with this one.
You mentioned that the women of Heist are here in the stadium, and that includes Georgia Bosher, one of the best women's players in the world at this point. You know, Madison Club might consider having her come down to the field and cleat up. They could use her help, I think, at this point.
As we hear the Madison crowd picking up. That's the Madison sideline as well, trying to generate some energy. As we take a look at a new O-line, this time Rodrigo Valdivia coming out to cut. Side stack from Madison. This is Rodrigo Valdivia. Resets to Nelson. Nelson to Coolidge.
There's Brian Hart again with the black hat.
Hart with the big swing to Valdivia. And Coolidge again found space a few times downfield. Nice dump and swing here from Madison. Taking what the defense is giving him. This is Dayu Lu is going to throw the hammer over the top. And Trent Dillon can't get there. And Gigo kips up and has himself a goal. That's the 7th one for Madison.
We definitely saw some Hodag chemistry there on that point, and I think that might have been the idea behind putting that line together. They need to generate some completions and some disc movement downfield. And, you know, 4 or 5 guys on that line have been playing together for the collegiate series. And they tried to make it happen. It worked. Gigo got loose on the back end there, and that was a nice goal.
Yeah, nice throw there by Dayu Lu. Trent Dillon actually had no chance at that one at all. Sometimes when you throw those hammers, a lot of times you're throwing to a standing receiver, and you can just zip it right in there, and that's the only way to not allow the defender to have a chance. Dayu Lu, great handler for the Hodags past couple seasons. Will need to step it up here for Madison if they want to take this game, and also if they want to advance deeply into club nationals this year. So Montague will walk the disc back to the center after Madison pulls one out of bounds. Side stack. And we saw this flood play a number of times work for the bus. This time Montague looks off the deep cutting Mickle as Clark comes up with it. Now Montague. Montague marked by Valdivia. Hahn zips a forehand inside out, but this one goes behind his defender, as Madison almost gives one back. Now Valdivia looking to work quickly. End zone set here from Madison. Mickle stops the up line, but a nice inside out throw. And Everhart is going to come up with his first goal of the game for Madison's first break here in the second half.
There's the break we need. You had some contributions on that point from Colin Camp and, of course, Hector Valdivia. Some relief, I think. We can do it, they say.
There we have a look at one of our next-gen injured players. That's Chris Kocher. Pulled his hamstring against Boston a little over a week ago, and he's been out slowly recovering, hoping to play on the West Coast portion of the tour. And here we see Weissman commanding the D-line for Madison. So Wiseman. Scion receives. Montague looking at a horizontal stack and a junk look from Madison. Looks like a 3-3-1, and this time Driscoll not able to come up with the huck as NexGen throws immediately into the deep. Weissman patrolling as Madison's defense gets another opportunity at the break.
That's Try-Wise handling now.
Nice patience this time for Madison. Not shooting deep immediately, but still gaining the first half of the field. Annan finds space underneath. Back to Annan. Nice job taking away the around by Allison Hall, forcing Annan to lose more yards on a big around to Weissman. Nice little hammer there to Hart. Hart throws into a collision. It's Annan and Dillon.
Glad to see both those guys get up there. That was high speed.
And looks like Annan's surely going to call a foul, but I think the replay is going to show that Dillon got to the disc well before Annan was there, but that's a tough situation to be in for both players. Lots of different rules you have to talk about. Some players say that, well, I got there first, so it should be a clean D. But then on the other hand, you're not allowed to make a dangerous play where you jump and put your body where someone else can't avoid you. This time, it looks like Trent Dillon's going to take back, or excuse me, not contest the foul call. And that's probably what he was saying. Definitely contact there between Dillon and Annan. So Madison on the doorstep for their second break of the second half, trying to creep back in it as we look to the final half of the game here for these two teams. We'll be back with you in just a minute after this commercial. And we're back. This is Annan on the doorstep, and nice pressure by Scion's going to force a turnover. Dillon running deep, but the bus is going to slow it down as they dodge a bullet. Mickle resets to Montague. Big break swing to Allison Hall. Now Eli Kearns. Back to Montague. Scion open again. Scion's found lots of space underneath all evening. And Kearns is going to fire one deep. Driscoll giving chase, and Driscoll gives himself a bath, but is not rewarded with a goal this time.
Upended the water bucket down there, going head-to-head with Brian Hart.
So Hart picks up. Trent Dillon marking Annan. Back to Hart. Nice little flip there, throw there from Hart, but Mickle gobbles one up before that one could make its way to the end zone. Now Kearns. And Kearns just fits it into Scion. Scion bumped on the mark by Meshnik. Foul called. So perfect spacing downfield from the bus. Vert stack. Scion looking to throw that break backhand. Finds Mickle. Mickle with no one cutting downfield. And Mickle's got to fire it to the far side. So a loss of yards on a golden opportunity from the bus. And Madison Club's going to get this one back as Weissman collides with his own player, calls a stoppage. So a missed opportunity for NexGen.
Madison definitely getting more aggressive, going for the disc on defense. Now you saw it there with Wiseman's D. You saw it with Meshnik just laying out, coming, just an inch or two away from getting that D a second ago. And Wiseman looks like he's going to check himself out of the game here.
So multiple opportunities for this Madison team to pick up another break. This is Meyer who checked in for Wiseman. Meyer's going to get this one back. Find Hart. Hart's going to float one deep. Mickle loves to come from the backside and create pressure just like he did there. Number of times on tour, Mickle's come up with a catch block or just made the play on that one. This time, Mickle provides enough pressure that this one is not caught. You could see the Madison receiver actually was trying to make a second read on that one. Mickle not allowing it. So here's Scion trapped on the far sideline. Resets to Kearns. Kearns throws the hammer. Driscoll pressured from behind. Got Dillon cutting deep, but instead goes to Allison Hall. Allison Hall to Mickle. Ooh, nice cut by Trent Dillon to find space underneath. Lots of open receivers for the bus. As Madison is now calling fire on the field, they're going to switch to man immediately. See if the bus can take advantage during the transition. Montague directing traffic. Looking to his dump, looks off Kearns. Now chooses the inside break, and Trent Dillon pressured by Hart, not able to come up with it. Hart streaking deep. And Madison dinking and dunking for their first 15 yards of this possession. Montague pressuring Annan to a 5-yard loss. Madison stack getting a little deep. This is Kevin Brown, marked by Driscoll. And a reset to Nelson. The NexGen handler defenders have really been making life hard on Annan to get the disc.
Montague is everywhere, it seems like, and he's not giving Annan anything easy at all.
Annan to Nelson to Meshnick, and Madison wins another long point. 11-9 here.
These are just blue-collar points at some point. They're just, having to put in work over and over again, give up the disc, work on defense, get it back, work some more on offense.
And if I'm Madison, that's the way I want to score the rest of my goals here tonight. The bus, only 14 players suiting up tonight. We're getting late in the game. We're going to potentially start to see some fatigue errors if Madison is able to grind these points along. Also won't be surprised to see that decision-making change a bit for the bus. A lot of times when you get tired, you want to take the easy decision rather than the right one. Many times that easy decision is a huck deep to a covered receiver.
Yeah, it looks so good sometimes, right? He's just standing there by himself, but that's what some of these guys are so experienced on defense. They're veterans, and they're almost pleading you to throw that.
So now the bus. Morrissey is isolated, finds Jannon at a high stall count. Now Clark. As Aaron Hahn had Aaron Neal cutting deep, but looked him off. And now Morrissey cuts deep as Freechild throws into a poach, and Coolidge gets his first block. So Coolidge working efficiently and slowly up the field now for Madison. This is Pruis. Finds Stulagos. Stulagos throwing to space. This is Pruis. Diving grab by Coolidge, who's going to flip for another Madison break. They're just down one, and the bus sputtering to get started here late in the second half.
That was big for Madison. That's a line on the field without a lot of experience, especially at handler. So for those guys to punch it in, that's big. They're out there basically to run, play hard defense. So another workmanlike point, but that's a big confidence builder, especially for some of these young guys.
So NexGen calls a timeout. Just up one. All those breaks they were able to get in the first half and early here in the second half. That lead is gone, and the momentum is Madison's. There we saw Valdivia telling the Madison Club team to keep the pressure on. You can see the NexGen team walking back to their line. Definitely not a lot of bounce in their step late in the game here. This will be Weissman leading the D-line. Weissman also a Hodag. Of course, Madison's got to be feeling a bitter taste in their mouth coming off of the college season that they just have.
You know, they've hosted nationals twice now, and it always feels like you know, the perfect opportunity for them to play in front of the home crowd. And I don't know whether it's pressure or, you know, what you lose by not staying in a hotel with your homies during a tournament like that, but I don't think there's any question. You know, the guys on the team would tell you that they've underachieved when nationals has been held here in Madison.
And speaking of underachieving, that was an A+ throw from Mickle as Freechild hides the disc on a spike.
That was
beautiful
efficient.
Throw. And there we talked just a minute ago about how a lot of times when you're tired, you might take that easy shot. This time, I don't know if you could have been positioned better as the deep. Great throwers just sometimes make defenders look bad. And Mickle to Freechild is the answer to stop the bleeding for the bus.
That's got to be an advantage for some of these NexGen guys, being on tour right now, just being able to put the disc in the air a lot. And, you know, especially after the college series is done, working on parts of their game that maybe they don't get to in their typical role on their college club.
Pretty easy to roll the dice when you're throwing at Dylan Freechild.
Yeah, that's true.
So now Clark throws a massive inside-out backhand, and this one's going to float out of bounds on the far sideline. So NexGen still trying to figure out the pulling game. Not nearly as much wind right now as we felt early in the game. It's still a down. This will be an upwind point for Madison as Brown walks it to the line, but not nearly as much wind. Brown looking at an isolated stack on his left, a decoy cutter, and now has to reset. Nice marking there by Janet to take away that around as Scullion resets to camp. Graffy. Nice outside in forehand to the poached receiver on the sideline. This is Alexander, now back to Brown. Brown to Scullion. It's off the hands of Colin Camp. So a miscue here from Camp is going to give the bus a chance at a break. This will be Trent Dillon picking up the disc. Hasn't been a role he's been in a lot this season. So Dillon picks up. Hahn isolated out of the stack, but a poached defender has Dillon resetting to Sion. Now Sion downfield to Morrissey. Morrissey looking immediately to his dump. Morrissey to Janin. The inside out from Hahn to Sion. Sion's definitely up in double digits with catches. And Sion absolutely ran over his defender there after he reset the disc. It's Andrew Brown calling the foul. So Hahn looks at a vertical stack. Jay Clark at the front as Dillon finds space underneath. Dillon now to Erickson. Erickson squeezes one into Sion, but Sion can't hang on.
That's a battle going on right there between Sion and Andrew Brown.
So Brown is going to give this one back to Sion. It looks like Sion actually said that there was contact, maybe a push in the back.
Concedes the foul there.
So Sion now looking to reset. Throws the around to Dillon. A leaping Jay Clark brings it down. Scuba from Clark to Morrissey. Back to Clark. Clark looking to break. Finds Dillon on the open side. Dillon's gotten whatever he's wanted so far when he's tried to cut. Now Janin. Janin wants to throw and go with Trent Dillon, but maybe threw before he was looking and misses. Now Scullion's going to rip one deep. There's going to be a dog pile underneath it. And this time,
there's Graffy.
Graffy brings it down despite two defenders from NexGen. And now they're on the doorstep, but a foul from Morrissey is going to prevent Madison from just a hold on their O point. Take a look at the foul here again from Morrissey. Second time we've seen him try to prevent that throw. And a nice mark here by Morrissey. We're going to take a look at this replay. We're going to see Morrissey really not moving at all, and the offensive player really just stepping through both times. We're going to see the foul here again, but if we take a look at this replay, you're going to see Morrissey just standing straight up in legal defensive position. The observer is going to say that this was a foul, but great defense there by Morrissey.
Kelson Alexander really selling it there. I mean, an aspect of the game is definitely some veteran experience. Oh, and they just can't punch it in.
So NexGen here will have another chance at a break. No timeouts, one timeout for the bus. A lot of game left here in Madison as Hahn finds lots of space underneath. Elliot Erickson with a huge deep cut, but looked off by Hahn. And now Hahn's going to flip to the around backhand as the bus makes space. Now Clark's going to rip his forehand. Great cut by Sion. Is this one going to stay in bounds? Not quite. So Clark just a bit firm with that forehand. Sion beating Brown. Side stack now for Madison. Brown with the disc. Gonna float one over the top to Scullion. Scullion ripped it deep before and now is going to look underneath. Squeezing an IO forehand, and this time Trent Dillon's going to get it going the other way for the bus. Now Clark. Slicing and dicing to Sion. And Scion will call NexGen's final timeout. And I think that's a good call here from Scion late in the game. This is a really important moment for the bus. 13-10 is a lot different than 12-11.
Yeah, they've got to punch it in here. Madison has not been able to do much on this point, and maybe taking a chance there, trying to get it deep to Donovan, and it's just not working. This line is beleaguered, so NexGen could really sort of help break their confidence by punching one in right here.
Couple of giveaways this point by Madison. Of course, Camp earlier with the drop on the sideline, and then we had the drop in the end zone. When you look back at games like this, you look for those moments where you could have gotten back in it, and this is definitely a point like that if NexGen's able to come away with this score.
We saw a couple of nice things from Graffy there on that point. I asked Tom Anna to tell me one new guy on Madison Club to watch, and he indicated Graffy. He said he's the most athletic guy maybe to ever play Frisbee in Madison, which is saying quite a lot. A lot of guys have come through here that have been pretty good. But again, he's new, so he might curl off some of those cuts that he really needs to take if he's open.
Sion's going to flip this one up to Clark. Beautiful throw by Sion. Clark didn't have his defender beat by too much, but Sion finds the gap.
That's really what you want to see coming off a timeout there. A really nice, efficient goal, nothing crazy going on.
And I've played against these Madison guys a number of times. A lot of times they'll try to body up on the dump cutter, and I'll tell you what, I love it when people do that to me, because there's no way that you're going to be at the same position as me, body me up. As soon as I get one step away from you, you're already behind.
Yep.
So I'll just as soon, sometimes guys like to call the foul in that situation, and I just think game over if you're going to stand next to me, because I'm going to seal you out with a foot. And that time we saw the contact, and Jay Clark was just able to separate.
Yeah, that body game is, I think, comes as a big result from playing in the wind. Madison's a windy town. We have a short season here. A lot of Frisbee gets played in the fall and in the spring. And, some of the better players in Madison are used to using their body to block out on a disc that's hanging in the air.
So Madison down 3. This is Valdivia underneath. And Driscoll loses track of his man.
That was Wiseman to Meshnick.
To Swain for an easy one for Club is going to put the NexGen offense back on the field.
They'll take the downwinder, but they really need a break here if they want to stay in this.
That looks a lot like what we saw from Madison in the first half, one of those easy huck points, under to deep throw. A lot of times out of a horizontal stack, your first or second guy out of the stack is actually one of your primary huckers. So it's really hard to just stand and shoot in this horizontal offense. But when you catch a pass underneath, you're looking at 2-on-2 or 3-on-3 with lots of space in front of you, which makes it really hard as a defender and a lot easier as a thrower. So Wiseman lines up another pull. This time he goes with the roller. Nice tactic here by Wiseman. Going to start the bus out on the sideline. This is Dayu Liu coming up to set the mark on Montague.
Again, some youth on the field here. We've got Dayu Liu, Brian Hart, Andrew Meshnick.
This is Clark, resets to Allison Hall. They're back on their own end zone now. So the bus losing yards as Neal finds space underneath, but is looked off by Allison Hall, and now someone miscommunicated. This is a junk look here from Madison, just trying to control the pace. Now they've dropped into man as Hahn finds space on the break side, defended by Swain. Freechild on the far side. He's got steps. Montague's going to look to him early and evaluate. Freechild. Freechild, bit of a miscommunication with Mickle, but Mickle's still going to give chase, and this one's going to float out of bounds. Mickle stopped his cut. Freechild wound up, and in the middle of his throw, Freechild realized it and still tried to float it up there. Result is a turnover, so Madison will have a chance at it. Hart with the disc. He's going to take a shot. This is a play that Aaron Neal has made all tour long, but not tonight. As Weissman brings in a break for Madison.
This is what Wiseman loves to do, get free, cutting, diagonally into the end zone and just reach up with that big paw. He can use every bit of his height there on a pass like that.
So Weissman brings down the break for Madison. And we're down to that 1-point lead for the Bus. They're still on offense. So if they hold, they'll be back up by 2. But Madison's still looking for that defining moment that can push them over the top here in the second half. Here we see Rodrigo Valdivia waiting to pull. Madison's mixed it up a bit here in the second half. A couple junk looks, but mostly man. And we see Madison charging hard. Sion in the backfield. Back to Montague. Nothing doing downfield for the Bus. A lot of standing around. And Driscoll comes open. Montague now. Montague fakes the huck. Finds Dillon. Dillon throws backfield. Trent Dillon finds Kearns. Now back to Dillon. Lots of passes, not a lot of yards here for the Bus. And this is what Madison wants. Lots of passes, not a lot of gainage of yards. And this is where they love to be as a team. And now Kearns is going to have to float one deep. He's got Driscoll on the backside. Will Driscoll goes up. And that one, Driscoll looked to be in, but we're not playing with that soccer line as Driscoll still flips the goal in. Will Driscoll making a critical catch here late in the game as the bail throw from Kearns gets saved by Driscoll despite 2 Madison defenders.
Almost unfair here, the way he just snatches this.
And we can see there by that camera angle that the disc was caught in the end zone, but looks like the observer a bit confused. But Morrissey not confused on the spike. He knew exactly what he wanted to do as he gives a stare to the observer.
These observers have to be in mid-season shape, too, to catch up with some of these guys.
So Mickle here to pull on NexGen's first game point. And Mickle gets a hold of one, not deep, but the NexGen defense will settle in. Brown with the disc. And Jay Clark bids huge, but not able to get there to camp. Now Scullion. Inside out to Annan. Annan's got a couple free receivers. He's going to loop this one, but too far. Annan with the miscue, unforced error on what should have been a goal. He was looking at Everhart, but the Bus will take it back and have their first opportunity at a win.
That's a rare miscue from Annan there, especially after that veteran throw he got from Scullion. You'd really like to see him convert there.
So a deep side stack from the Bus Hahn still finds his way open and gets backpacked a bit by Graffy. So Hahn looking at a vert stack middle of the field. Finds Neal, who is poached. And Aaron Neal looking to run his man here. The Freechild comes open. And Jay Clark bids huge but can't come up with it. Erickson big bid on Annan. Camp. Brown. Brown slices one inside. And now Scullion. Scullion defended well is Brown. Nice job there by Allison Hall to push him deep for that reset throw, but Brown throws the inside out. And now Scullion on the doorstep. Throws a break throw to Graffy. So the Madison offense holds.
That was a big point for Madison. It was all they could do to get a goal there, but they did not want to. They did not want to end this game at that point to NexGen. They gritted up just a little bit.
So the NexGen O-line will have a chance to close this one out. Haven't seen it yet this tour where NexGen had a chance to close out a game and was not victorious. They're not looking to end that streak here this evening. The D-line. Weissman standing next to Hodag teammate Coolidge. Brian Hart. Valdivia. Swain. Meshnick. Scion receives for the bus. Centering to Kearns. Interesting change to not have Montague receiving that first pass, but this time Montague is going to come out of the stack and find Morrissey. Morrissey flips to Jannon, marked by Valdivia. Montague to Driscoll. Driscoll's got a streaking Morrissey, looks him off. Dillon on the near sideline. Nice break to Jannon. Montague. Throws and goes with Jannon. Another swing, and this time they get yards, but another drop from Dillon is going to give Madison a chance to even this one up, and they're going to rip it immediately. Two defenders in the area, but Coolidge comes down with it, and he's going to flip a push pass for a goal. Madison.
That's as much volume as we've heard from the home fans all night, and with good reason. I mean, Madison finally did what they're trying to do all night. Picked up the D, went deep with it, would not be denied in the end zone.
And a number of turnovers here from NexGen have given Madison a chance. So this one will be going into overtime. First to win by 2 points with a maximum of 17. We are 14-14. As we take a look at this NexGen O-line, Hahn, Montague, Allison Hall, Neal, Freechild, Clark, and Mickle. Nice read in the end zone there by Coolidge, despite two defenders.
That was fabulous. Now let's see how much grit Madison has on D. They're racing to see who gets downfield first. Good to see Hector Valdivia be the first man down.
And a huge bid, and Freechild's going to send this one low, but Allison Hall brings it in. And now resets to Hahn. Hahn also looking to reset. Freechild beats his man up line. And is going to flip this one for an easy one as Clark head spikes. And Clark is fired up. You can see the bus really wants this one. They know they gave away a lead. And we're going to take a look at Freechild roasting his man, getting back to his feet, and Clark beats Weissman. Weissman not happy with himself, knows he can't be just getting beat easily to the open side. You can see the frustration there from Weissman and the tenacity of Clark.
They didn't work the stall count too much on that point, and you could see, you know, the mark, the disc mark, tough to recover there a few times for Madison.
And they just got in here too. Yeah, it's terrible. I'm sure there's more around you, but I'm
So Mickle to pull.
getting the same.
Game point for NexGen. Neither team with the timeout.
Madison has their veteran handlers on the field. We look for the hats. That's Tom Animal Annan and Andrew Brown, along with Scullion.
This is Graffy coming out of the stack first. Stack a bit deep. Now it goes to the handler defenders to own up. Really deep stack from Madison, but someone breaks free. That's Camp. Lots of chatter from the sideline. Pick downfield. This one is going to go back to Camp. Annan in the backfield. Kearns marking. Camp. Back to Annan. Now Brown in the backfield. There's that Brown-Scion matchup. Brown slices one upfield to Camp. And Camp's going to float one deep. That's Morris. He stumbles.
Schreiwise unable to come up with it.
And Schreiwise might have a lot to think about if his defense can't get this one back.
He's not happy with that. He scored a lot of goals this season for the Radicals in AUDL play. That's typically something that he comes up with there.
And now Mickle picks up. And Scion open, but Brown's going to call a pick. This one will come in on 5 as Mickle talks it over with Donovan. Mickle looks to reset, finds Kearns. Deep stack for the bus. Mickle again. And Driscoll finds huge yardage underneath. Tough matchup for Annan. Driscoll can reset this one. He's going to want to try to get downfield. Driscoll just floats one up in the air. Nice trap mark there by Annan. Forces a turnover. Scullion picks up. Scullion to another wide open Camp. Camp picking up big yardage. And Camp's going to put this one up deep. Blocked by Kearns at the point of attack. But Madison retains possession. Now Annan. And Brown is going to have a chance to put this one in. Annan swings to Scullion. Scullion looking to the end zone, resets to Annan. See a deep horizontal stack, nothing doing downfield. Still nothing going on downfield. Scullion isolated in the middle as Brown swings to him. And Annan is going to find himself open as the NexGen defenders put their hands on their knees.
I was a little surprised not to see more movement on the back end there from guys like Colin Camp and Graffy. But you know, that was a point that was totally the result of a lot of great chemistry right in the middle. Schreiwise working along with you know, Tom Annan, Jaden Scullion, just doing the dirty work.
So the Madison offense chips their way for their 15th goal of the night. And this one will be a game to 17. the Next Gen O-line. Neal, Montague, Clark, Janin, Allison Hall, Hahn, Kearns, Montague, Janin. Break throw to Neal. Lots of cutters deep. No one able to get open underneath. Now Janin beats his man up line. Quick cut there by Janin. Now resets to Clark. Vert stack. Montague finds space underneath. Montague resetting with Clark. So much movement in the backfield. Kearns now busts open. Trapped on the sideline. Nice job pivoting to release the pressure, and Allison Hall is going to have it as Montague settles into the middle. Montague's going to flip this one over to the top, and here we see confusion on the end zone line as Neal thought he was trying to work his feet into the end zone and lost concentration. Madison will have their first opportunity to take the lead since 0-0, and here Hart maintains possession, and Hart's going to call a timeout. Both teams get one timeout in overtime. Madison takes theirs.
That was a rare mental mistake from NexGen, right on the goal line, the worst place on the field to do that.
Ooh, and we can see that that disc did get a blade of grass before Hart got a piece of that one. It's a tough call to make as an observer. Hart made his case, and the disc stays. So the Callahan nominee for the Madison Hodags will pick up the disc here for Madison Club.
A lot of baby blue on the field again. We've got Dayu Liu out there. Thomas Coolidge. Hart, of course, is going to pick it up.
Coolidge looks to be isolated here in the middle of the field against Kearns. Gotta imagine we're gonna see Coolidge start the motion here. He's gonna cut deep, but it's really the secondary look to the handler as Liu resets to Coolidge. This is all Hodag so far. Back to Coolidge. Coolidge flips to Hart. Madison on the doorstep. And Madison Club gets their first lead of the game in overtime.
That was a pretty three-man game right there. That is exactly what you want out of three guys who have been playing together for a while, cutting exactly where they know to get the disc.
And that's just a tough matchup for anyone guarding any of those three handlers, especially at this point in the game. You're talking about three guys that have great chemistry. They're coming off a season where they've been in shape, and the bus only with 14 rostered players, all of them tired, not able to take anything away from Liu, Hart, and Coolidge.
Those guys have probably run that drill hundreds of times in practice. You know, here in the winter, they practice in the Badgers football indoor facility, and that's what they work on, the short game.
And that's actually the drill that they were running here before the game. They ran a 3-on-0 just to get that offensive chemistry flowing. Then they actually play 3-on-3, get a little competition going before the game, and it pays off late here for Madison Club. Freechild brings it down to Montague. Mickle fakes the huck, and it's going to now reset to Montague. Montague again losing big yards on the reset. Ooh, another bobble. Freechild seeing a lot of turnovers in the last couple points. Wouldn't be surprised to see Freechild demand the disc a couple times here on this point. Han's been quiet since the first half. The normally sure hands of Neal let one slip out of his hands on the last point. Nice job by Freechild to rip that one away. Now Driscoll. Driscoll has Freechild. Freechild unmarked. Nice patience. He's going to flip this one over the top of Hart. Allison Hall with the around break. Nice throw from Allison Hall to Neal. Neal finds Driscoll. Nice matchup in the backfield. Hart against Montague as Driscoll throws one away. Now Madison will have their first chance to win. Swain, Hart, Valdivia fakes the huck. Releases the pressure to Weissman. Weissman's going to shoot deep. Neal is there.
That's Seth Meyer.
And Seth Meyer, despite the bidding, Aaron Neal brings it down, and Madison Club shocks the bus down, facing 2 game points. They're going to take this one home. This is the first time that Madison Club has beaten NexGen. Nice job by Meyer to box out. And it's not going to be a happy bus ride tomorrow to Minneapolis for the bus.
You know, this tour sort of is played as a series of exhibitions, you know, especially to the local clubs. But, I mean, guys on the NexGen team were not very happy with how that game ended. There were some upset faces on the field, and clearly Madison is stoked to win this game. I mean, those guys were rushing out on the field. I saw a couple of guys flipping in the air. They're thinking of this as a big win, exhibition or not. That's a tough team that they beat. They came from behind. That's a confidence builder going into the season.
And this is the type of the game that the bus is going to look back on and say, we gave that one away. But Madison's going to look at it and say, this is exactly how we love to win. Pressure at the beginning of the game doesn't necessarily pay off, but if you put it on the whole game, you're going to start to wear down that opponent physically and mentally. And they got just enough opportunity to hang in there and come away with a 17-15 win. On behalf of all the NexGen crew, Ian Lunger, Adam Bilbino, up in the booth, we've got Vin Bowie and Kimber Coles. I'm Mario O'Brien, joined by Jason Joyce. We will be in Minneapolis tomorrow night. Take care.